everyone, it's Gabby. I hope you are all doing really well today. I recorded a video to go up yesterday, and I was trying to do like a nice easy one where I wouldn't have to edit a lot, and I'd done it about Anne Frank. Now I had done I'd written a lot of research that I'd found through clips and stuff that I'd been watching because of the new Netflix documentary that's just come out about her, and it's always something that's fascinated me, but I think I'll do that another day and go into even more details with it because my sound did not record and it infuriated me. And this was getting to about 11:30 at night last night, and I'm still sat there trying to get the sound back, and I couldn't do it. So tonight I have been seeing a lot in the papers about internet dating and the things that can go wrong with it, and I'm sure there are lots of things that can go wrong with it because it's quite dangerous because you're technically meeting a total stranger. And there's so many people that have been catfished by him. But luckily, I have been one of the lucky ones. I actually met my husband on an internet dating site 8 years ago. And to be honest, it was a little scary meeting him. But I was just, I don't know, I was never into the whole going out nightclubbing or socialising, so the internet was the only place I could really talk to people. Sounds sad, I know, I'm not like that now, but it's so easy to talk to people online, but that's how it can become quite dangerous quite quickly. I used to get lots of conversations that you don't really want to be having with people, but the majority of them are alright, you just have to know what to look for. But even then, some people are so clever and they're so good at hiding things. But yeah, I have found some short stories. They're very short, they're just basically little clips, snippets telling me about a few people that have had horrible things happen to them through internet dating. So I think there's 12. The first one is a man buries a woman alive on their first date. Mina El Hori was a 25-year-old diabetic from France. She formed an online relationship on Facebook with a Moroccan man, and after a few months of flirting, she finally flew to Morocco to meet him in the late spring of 2014. During their first date at his residence, she lapsed into a diabetic coma and fell unconscious. He panicked and buried her in his back garden. Mina eventually suffocated to death under the back dirt. Now, you don't go on a first date with someone to their house ever. Never, 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 never. If you are to go on a first date with someone that you meet online, you make sure you go to somewhere that is well lit and you know that there are a lot of people around, somewhere close to you. Don't ever try and let the man pick where you go. You always pick where you go, because that's just easy, because then you're less likely for things to happen to you. And make sure if you drive in a car outside the place that you're going to, with CCTV around preferably, because that's even safer. Right, the second one. A woman was bashed to death by a man with over 100 criminal convictions. An Australian woman named Sharon Simmons was the single mother of a 4-year-old son when she met Jason John Tinsley online. What she didn't know, that was Tinsley had over 100 prior criminal convictions, including rape at knife point. After a first date, she did not ask Tinsley for a second date, which wounded his ego and enraged him. He broke into her home one night on April 2013 and bashed her to death with a cricket bat, while her 4-year-old son, Aaron, hid nearby, terrified. When a family friend stopped by to check up on Sharon the next morning, little Aaron told her, "There was a big man last night and he bashed Mummy with a bat. Mummy won't wake up and give me any breakfast." That's horrific. It's just awful. I know that, like, in America, they've got this law out that you can actually put in a man's, or even, yeah, I think it's a man's, I don't know if they do it for women, but you can put in a man's name and it will come up saying if he's ever been convicted of anything, or any domestic violence, and it's on one of the, might be Page's law, I can't remember, but there was a domestic abuse victim who died, and her boyfriend was convicted of all of this domestic abuse in the past and she never knew about it. So her family fought to get this law put in so that people can check, basically do like a CRB check, a background check. I'm pretty sure we don't have anything like that in the UK, but if you were to ring the police, I'm sure that they could tell you certain things. I know that in the UK you can ask, and there's a website about the known paedophiles in your area, but it's shocking how many are actually around your area, because obviously once they've committed an offence they are on that list for life. I just think they should all be hanged. Right, number 3. A bloodthirsty sadist stabs mentally ill woman to death. An Irish newspaper referred to Graham Dwyer as a 42-year-old sex beast. Dwyer led a double life. In one life he was happily married, architect, with 3 children, while in another he was a predatory sadist who filmed himself stabbing women during sex. In a diary, Dwyer wrote, "I had always fantasized about killing ever since I was a teenager, and I got hard every time I had a knife in my hand, wielding the power, knowing that I could decide who lived and died, just like my hero God." Hang on. I'm not religious. I've got no qualms in anybody's religion. It doesn't, everybody can believe in what they want to. I just don't, but growing up, I was brought up with the Bible, and I'm pretty sure God did not go around killing everyone with a knife. So how? I don't know. Every time goes wrong with these people? Like, are people born with that mindset? Or does something happen to them to make them have that mindset? Because it's just utterly disturbing, and so many people will have those thoughts in their heads. And it just takes one thing for someone to act on it, and it's disturbingly disgusting. The trouble is they won't get help themselves for it, because they think what they're feeling is the right thing. Dwyer literally charmed the pants off Elaine O'Hara, a chronically depressed woman who had multiple suicide attempts and spent her adult life in and out of mental institutions. In one film shown to the jury during his murder trial, Dwyer stabbed O'Hara repeatedly in the abdomen as he ploughed her from behind, eventually coming onto her back and saying, "Now that wasn't bad, was it?" But he didn't kill her that time. That poor girl. She would have been suffering so much, especially because she had such depression and mental. That's horrible, how people can just take advantage of people like that. She wouldn't have talked to anyone either, because she probably would have been really scared or thought that she deserved it in any way. But let me tell you now, if anybody is or has ever been under the abuse of anybody, and the abusers have said anything to make you feel like you deserve it, you do not. Nobody deserves to be treated like that. Nobody deserves to be treated badly. If you are suffering and someone is making you feel like you're not worth who you are, then you need to talk to someone. You need to go out and get help. I will always be there to listen to people who need it. Don't put up with it in silence. The fatal event came one night in 2013, directly after O'Hara had been released from a mental hospital. Dwyer summoned O'Hara into the mountains. He bound her, gagged her, and fatally knifed her in the guts. It wasn't until much later that dog walkers discovered her bones. Number 4. Lonely grandmother wastes up to $200,000 on internet suitor and winds up dead on her first visit to meet him. This has not yet been confirmed as a murder case, but the evidence points in that direction. A 67-year-old West Australian woman named Jet Jacobs fell into a pit of loneliness after her husband died and began seeking solace through online dating sites. She reportedly sent a 28-year-old Nigerian man named Jesse Orowa up to $200,000 worth of cash and gifts during a 4-year-long online flirtation. Shortly after, she finally travelled to South Africa to meet him in February 2013. She was found dead in a rented residence. Her money, laptop, credit cards and jewellery were missing. Mr. Mogo, who allegedly had 32 fake online aliases, briefly spoke to the police and was released, whereupon he disappeared. That's shocking. You hear of so many people scamming the elderly and vulnerable, and it's just disgusting. Like, even like them ringing you up and saying, "Oh, you're due money. Can I have your bank details?" I mean, most of us are wise to it by now, because we all have Facebook, we all have the internet, we all can look on them, and we know what scams to look for. newspaper, so it's just horrible. Number 5. 4 people rob and murder a man after setting up a date on an escort site. Venkata Katamanchi was a 35-year-old Indian software engineer living in Michigan. One weekend in June of 2010, he arranged to meet a 23-year-old Jessica Ermentinga through an online escort site. They met at a Wendy's and then made their way to the room in Easy Rest Motel, where another woman and 2 men were lying in wait. Katamanchi was robbed and murdered. All 4 of the perpetrators were eventually sentenced to prison. See, it doesn't just happen to women, it happens to men as well. That's why everyone should be on their guard. The filmmaker, inspired by Dexter, bludgeons, stabs and dismembers a male he met online. Mark Twitchell was an inspiring Canadian filmmaker in his mid-30s who was obsessed with the cable program Dexter. My husband was also very keen on this program. He liked it. I thought it was a bit boring. He was posing as a woman and lured other men via plentyoffish.com to his garage in October 2008, whereupon he murdered him and cut him into pieces. Investigators recovered and deleted a file on Twitchell's laptop called SK Confessions, with SK standing for Serial Killer. The document included the following passages. This story is based on true events. The names and events were altered slightly to protect the guilty. This is the story of my progression into becoming a serial killer. For as long as I can remember, I have always had a distinct lack of empathy. I've always had a dark side. I've had to sugarcoat it from the world. On my journey of discovering my disorder, I've discovered my killer instinct. I've often fantasized about killing people who have wronged me or threatened me or hurt me or my family in the future, but that's where it ends. Twitchell then proceeded to detail the protagonist learned men via online dating sites and killed them. After being convicted of murder, Twitchell acquired a television in his prison cell and boasted of how it enabled him to catch up on every episode of Dexter he'd missed during the legal ordeals. Right, Michael Sandy was a gay 29-year-old black Brooklyn man who, one night in October 2006, arranged to meet a 20-year-old white man named Anthony Fordano near Plum Beach, a popular cruising destination. Sandy didn't expect to meet 3 other white men along with Fordano, who intended to rob him of marijuana. The 4 reportedly began assaulting Sandy, who ran onto the Belt Parkway and was struck dead by a vehicle. Criminal charges of hate crime enhancements were filed against all 4 perpetrators. Fortunato attempted a unique defense, claiming that he was closeted gay male and thus couldn't possibly commit an anti-gay hate crime. It didn't work. Good. I do not know why people make up things, especially to that nature, just to try and get away with murder. Doesn't work like that. Number 9. A Florida woman and a male accomplice murder a man she met on a dating site. Christmas night 2011, Ashley Lavelle of Ocala, FL, like Florida, met up with 27-year-old LeVar Watson. They went to a movie theatre after luring him through an online dating site. After exciting the theatre and getting into Lavelle's car, LeVar was shot in the back by Lavelle's accomplice Stephen Ruberini. They took his wallet, used his credit card to buy gasoline, and were eventually imprisoned for killing him. So they killed him for essentially petrol. Sick. Number 10. In 2005, 46-year-old Thomas Montgomery of upstate New York met a West Virginia woman in her mid-40s online. They quickly struck up a digital romance, with Montgomery claiming he was a young Marine who recently returned from Iraq, and the woman using her daughter's pictures to pretend that she was an 18-year-old blonde. She's catfishing him, but he's catfishing her as well. The heated romance between Marine Sniper and Doll-Up Blonde became complicated when Brian Barrett, a real-life 22-year-old male co-worker of Montgomery's, started flirting with the imaginary blonde teen. Montgomery shot Barrett to death in the parking lot of the power plant where they used to work. Sick. Number 11. An English woman named Carol Kemp met Martin Rusling online and entered into a 6-month relationship with him. Then one night in December 2011, Rusling told her he wished to terminate their romance. Kemp fatally stabbed him twice in the heart and was sentenced to a minimum of 13 years in prison. But if someone's not into the relationship, let them go. It's better for you in the long run. You can move on. You can both be happy. No one needs to get hurt. May hurt at the time, and it will hurt. You will feel like your heart has been ripped out. But there's always someone else. Australian man shoves a woman, allegedly, off a 14th-floor balcony after a long tape-recorded flight. This case is still in litigation, so it hasn't been legally determined a murder yet. In August 2014, a New Zealand woman named Warina Wright met an Aussie man named Gable Toasty at a high-rise apartment building called Surfers Paradise. They were both in their 20s. After a long, drunken night, pockmarked by several apparent physical scuffles, all of it recorded on audio, Wright fell 14 stories to her death from Toadsy's balcony. Highlights of the transcripts from that fatal evening are: at 1:07 a.m, Wright says, "I know you want to kill me because you told me so." At 1:48 a.m, Wright asks if she can go over to the window and have a look. Toasty says, "Don't jump off or anything." 2:15 a.m. Toasty says, "I thought you were kidding and I have taken enough. This is fucking bullshit. You are lucky I haven't chucked you off my balcony, you goddamn psycho little bitch. Who the fuck do you think you are?" At 2:20 a.m, Wright says, "Just let me go home. Just let me go home. Toasty is heard, breathing heavily. A faint scream is heard. Toasty insists that he did not shove right from the balcony, but he faces a murder trial. So, yeah, it's just a bit online dating. If you're gonna do it, just be careful. If you need to, if it makes you feel safer, which I think is a really good idea, is to take a friend with you. Not necessarily going in with you, but take a friend or a couple of friends and let them sit the other side of the room, or even just wait in their car outside, so you can have secret messages or something if something you don't feel's right. But just be safe if you're gonna do it, and if you need to chat about anything, you know where I am. Anyway, I'm gonna leave it there for today because this is gonna be half an hour long. But yes, feel free to subscribe if you like this video. This is basically what I do, apart from the odd personal attention video when I finally get my new camera.